Tyrese Haliburton specifically, I don't know that you've been on the podcast since they acquired him. What were your early impressions of how he did in Indy, and what are you looking most to see from him in his first full season there? Does he have another gear as a jump pass, assist to turnover ratio guy? Like, is there another level there?
I have watched all of the jump passes. I have done that.
That article was like right up your alley. One, just like the general like thematic element of it, but that was such a fantastic article.
That was
Like
the
having
most
the assist to turnover ratio on Tyrese Halliburton's jump passes, just incredible.
that was the most time consuming thing I've ever done. Like pro tip, if somebody out there ever's like, I want to do some article where there isn't just, you can go into NBA.com and click like jump passes and watch them all, and you actually have to go into the film and rewatch 26 straight games. Like I had an idea in about March that I wanted to write that. And I rewatch all these games in the morning. I don't know why I didn't just every morning clip that game's jump passes to save until August, but I did not. So I had to rewatch all 26 games in a row. And
Oh
that
God,
that was like, I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but when you drive for a really long time and you suddenly arrive at your destination and you're not really sure how you got there?
it's
Like,
happening.
yeah. So if you can't watch that many games in a row, otherwise you get to the end of a quarter and you're like, oh, the quarter's over. Now I have to start over because I don't even remember watching that. Like to stay vigilant, you can only do like one or two games in a row. But besides the point,
I
Tyrese.
hope were you at least able to do it before NBA.com like rebranded their site and made it just like the user interface absolutely terrible.
No, I mean it was just me going in and watching full games and just
Oh,
having to
okay, you
fast.
weren't breaking it. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I had to fast forward through all the defensive possessions and just watch his minutes and clip it. So it was like 9 passes per game or something along those lines. But anyways, Tyrese, I think that my initial opinion of him or impressions of him best tracked to his very first game. They played the Cavs, and the Pacers scored like I believe right almost 40 points in that first quarter against the Cavs. And right away, you could tell that he's a guy that off of makes or misses really wants to push the ball up the court and get into offense very quickly, clapping for inbounds passes, wanting to head the other way. And then his inclusiveness, I think, popped right from the beginning. That he's somebody that's going to involve his teammates and is going to be able to not only pass to the open man, but also pass people open. That showed up pretty quickly, which that's something else people can read about in that article if they're interested in a more detailed explanation. But then also the fourth quarter of that game, JB Bickerstaff made an adjustment where they started having Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen switch out fully to the ball, and that gave him problems. So that stood out to me as something in part of why you mentioned that he doesn't take a lot of shots, and that's true. Like he only led the Pacers in shot attempts 3 times after he was traded to the Pacers. Some of that is because he can struggle with length against a switch. He's very efficient at it, and he's very good at getting at his sidestep to the right 3. But if he needs to get 2 feet into the paint against length, that's something that's going to have to come with him finding driving angles and finding other ways to be effective against switches beyond that.
Do you see like a pathway to him being able to do that, or does it feel like he's wired to maybe be too deferential in certain situations?
I mean, I definitely think that's his default mode. I think that sometimes he doesn't even take good shots. And sometimes, you make reads and like there's one in the Memphis game. I don't think it was a jump pass. It wasn't included in the article, but like he comes off the screen and Steven Adams is retreating with Isaiah Jackson on the lob because they had caught him on a lob on a couple possessions prior. He has all types of space to just take a bank shot, and the big's backing up and he just throws it to the opposite corner. So sometimes when he has the big in retreat and he does get below the free throw line, you want him to be looking for that. Because I think that's a really valid question when you look at the rest of the starting lineup. Like if it's Duarte and Buddy and Jalen and Miles, that's a lot of spacing around him. But if an opponent says, hey, guess what? We're going to stay home and face guard all those shooters, and we're going to see if you're going to beat us from floater range. Is he going to be willing to take enough shots to do that? I think that's something that the Pacers are going to have to find out, and that's one of the benefits of this lineup because it should be pretty revealing in that regard of who they have out there around him. I do think there's some other ways that he can beat switches. He's pretty decent at relocating. I think that there's some more that they can do with that where, if he does have somebody like Evan Mobley on the ball, pass out of that, get it back, cut in front of him, get the ball back in the paint, and now you're beating it off the catch rather than beating it off the dribble. And then Drew Hanlon shared some videos too. That's Tyrese's trainer, where he was having him work on going to his right, using a pound dribble and a hesitation, and then sidestepping to his left, which he does that sometimes, but that's not his go-to. So opponents like to weak him to his left. So seeing him working on that, if he has the option to go in either direction, that should help him be able to get off some more shots as well.